What up, y'all? Um, I don't even know what to call this. I guess I should call it. I don't want to call it Bonnet Chronicles, but I guess I should say. And it's not. This is not a do rag. But what is this? Scarf. Scarf Chronicles. Boom. um, I wanted to really talk about depth, depth. Like, I'm in a new phase of my life. Since 2016, since I left my church, and by leaving my church, I also left some relationships, some long relationships, like 20-year relationships. I left that behind and decided to follow God, follow Christ, and very important people. And it's funny because, like, they were my circle, And when I left my church, I felt like I was starting over, And it's funny because it's like, you think that you don't have something, but really, like, you do. Like, when I left, my church, I started to see that, like, I really have an opportunity to really I guess the friendships or the relationships that I had, or that I was involved in, and I'm not talking about romantic, y'all, okay? Goodness, everything in it made about relationships. I mean, when I say relationship, I mean like romantic or whatever. But the relationships that I knew, whether they were people that I traveled with or just people that were just I met randomly, it actually gave me opportunity to kind of pour into those relationships more, I guess you could say. Shoot, you ain't got no friends. It does give you an opportunity to, like, really open yourself up to other opportunities or just other people or whatever that you were closed off to, because I had my clique. I had, the group that I was, like, in or whatever. I was clique oriented, even though I kind of wasn't, but I was. I've always been someone that liked meeting new people or whatever. I always was that person. But anyways. But yeah, so kind of lost my identity or whatever when or I felt like I lost my identity when I left my church or whatever. And literally, I felt like I was at ground zero. And this is why I'm so, like, crazy in love with Jesus, because he literally, I'm not gonna cry, y'all, okay? I'm not gonna cry, shoot. But he literally was my rock. He became my rock. You know how, like, when you're in church and you hear people say, he's my rock and blah, blah, blah. You sing these songs like, my rock and my salvation, Hosanna, blessed be the rock. You sing those songs and you don't know. Like, if you don't know God to be that, you're just singing it. You're just singing it. And that situation that happened, hey Shanice, hey girl, that situation that happened or whatever, it kind of pushed me or forced me to, like, experience God as the rock, And like I said, that's why I'm so crazy in love with God, because literally I just felt like I had him. It was just me and him. I didn't trust my mom. I didn't trust my family. When I left my church, literally it messed with my psyche. Like it really did. It messed with my mind. You know, it really did. It made me feel like I couldn't trust anybody. Because I was like, if I can't even trust the people who, you know, I grew up with since I was like 9 years old or whatever, and that's like a 20-year relationship, going on 20-year relationship. And if I can't trust them, and if they are so willing to like just drop me like I'm a piece of lint because I'm going through some stuff and because I'm still figuring myself out. And, when you're figuring yourself out, that's not always that doesn't look pretty. The bad parts of you come out, you know, and not only that, this is church. You know what I'm saying? And not only is it church, but it's people who I broke bread with, people who I grew up with, people who I knew, very deep, you know. We had deep relationships. So for them to just be like, just kind of treat me like that, I was like, it's like my soul left my heart, because it's like, wow, I would have never threw you away. You know what I'm saying? I don't care if I get mad at you and I stop talking to you for a time period. Like, and for me to like, if I stop talking to you, I'm in my feelings or whatever. But guess what? A couple of days later, I'm gonna talk to you again or whatever, And I'm not telling the whole story, y'all, because it's a really, really long story. But, I just would have never done that. So when it was done to me, I was just like, wow, okay. But so now that I'm embarking on new relationships, I'm having to start over again, and starting over is not fun, but it is fun. Like it's fun, but it's not fun. Like the fun part is, okay, I get to meet new people. I get to, you know, love on people. I get to see, I love different. I do. So I do enjoy different things and meeting different. But then comes the not so fun part, the part where you see, where people get to see, your demons. They get to see, the depths of your heart, and then not only that, you get to see some sides of them that may not be so flattering. And that part is not so fun, but I want that, I think I've always been that person for the most part. I'm not going to sit here and say everybody that I wanted to do that with, but for the most part, I've always wanted depth in my relationships. I don't want surface. Give me your funk. Give me your underarm pit that smells like must. Give me give me, the parts of you that is not so flattering, because I want the challenge of loving that part of you. I want the challenge of loving who you are in totality. Give me an opportunity to love you in totality. I don't want just a hey and a bye, hey girl, or I don't want just a, oh my, oh, how's your mama doing? And then that's all we talk about or whatever. Like I don't want that. Like let me know who you are. Tell me your secrets. Tell me the parts that hurt. Tell me, what happened in your childhood. Like I want to know all of that about you. I want to embrace all of that about you. You know what? Let's get in a fight. Let's have let's get an attitude with each other. Let's have that experience with each other where you get on my nerves and I get on your nerves. Let's go through that experience where we get irritated with each other. Let's go through that experience where I actually smell your fart. Let's go through experiences where I get to know who you are, because we live in such a social media driven age now, where social media has really It drives our relationships because we only put, like on social media, we only put what people, what we want people to see. And it seems like that's how our relationships are, like in person. It's like I'm only going to give you, I'm only going to give you what I want you to see. You're not going to get anything else. And for me, and I know people have to kind of grow through that. I know people have to like be ready to be open with you. Like I get that. You know, I get it takes time for people to be ready for that. But I'm just telling you what I want and what I'm ready for. You know, I'm ready and I want, because like, let's be real. You're never going to be fully prepared for everybody's demons. You're not going to be fully prepared for everybody's slip ups and hang ups. And, you know, like I was just listening to this sermon yesterday, and this preacher, he was like, he said, we were having a, you know, Bible study group, and this lady walked in drunk, just drunk, you know, and he was like, you know, he basically was like, you know, we have to be ready for stuff like that. Like, we have to be ready to embrace people in their rawest, I don't know if that's a word. We have to be ready to embrace people in their rawest state. Like, are we ready to embrace the raw in people? That lady came in there drunk. That's probably the rawest things that you could see. And are you ready to love somebody past that? Are you ready to see somebody in a state of rawness, in a state of vulnerability, and being vulnerable is not just crying. Being vulnerable is you get to see the devil work in me. In church, we don't like saying that. In church, we don't like admitting that, yeah, I allow the devil to work in me sometimes. We don't like saying that. We don't like admitting our fallen nature. We don't like admitting our depraved nature. We don't like that. We don't want people to see our depraved nature. Well, why not? When we read it in the Word all the time. Well, that's if you're in your Word. If you're in your Word, if you are a student of the Word, why does it surprise us when we see each other in our depraved nature? When we see sides of people that are not so flattering, why does it surprise us? And how ready are we to really love people? I mean, and the reason why I talked about, you know, me and God, and how I felt like I was starting at ground zero with him, is because literally that was when I decided that, okay, God, I'm going to finally admit to you. I already know you can see it, but I'm going to start telling on myself to you. I'm going to start. Most aren't ready for that. I guess we want. Yeah, you're right, Ben. I'm going to start being honest with you, God, about how nasty I am of a person. And you know what? The beautiful part about God, I'm not going to cry. I am not going to cry on Instagram, okay? But you know, the beautiful part that shocked me about God's nature, because I grew up, you know, with this strong God, and strength to me was not showing your weakness, you know, and I thought God's strength was him always chastising you, always putting judgment down. That's what I thought strength was. But God showed me that his strength is his love, that his weakness is stronger than the strongest of men. So when I would be honest with God about, you know, my nastiness, and be open with him about it, let me tell y'all, he surprised Nina. He began to speak life into me. He began to tell me good things. And I was like, why are you telling me good things? Why are you telling me good things about who I am? And I'm over here like being ugly. Why? I remember I came home from work and I had an attitude and I was irritated with my coworker and I was wrong, but I tried to justify it to my homegirl and I started talking about God and the peace of God just came over me and I was like, oh my God, why are you being so good to me? I couldn't understand. Like, why are you being so good to me? Why are you showing me your goodness? I didn't get it. I didn't get this love. I didn't get it because I was so used to, in my relationships, when my relationships in the past would get to a certain point, and when I mean get to a certain point, I mean, hey, you start to see Nina for who she is, good, bad, ugly, all that. When when my relationships would get to that point, people would walk away from me. People would leave, right? I was too much. I was too intense. I am a very intense person. I am a lot. I am crazy. I am all these things. I'm not ashamed. I'm not afraid to admit that. That's who I am. And you know why I'm not ashamed or afraid to admit these things? Is because I gave it to God. God accepted all of it. He accepted all of it. Now, that doesn't mean that he wanted me to necessarily stay broken or stay, messed up, but he stayed. That's what I mean by accepted. He stayed and he's here. And he walked with me. And day by day, he would build me up. And that doesn't mean that I'm like just complete and that I'm not, still dealing with some stuff. Yeah, I am. But because of his love, my sanity is intact because of him. Because I have somebody, rooting for me, that's walking with me, I feel better. And so, like I said, I'm used to people walking out of my life because you're too much. This is too much for me. So when God didn't leave, I was like, wow, bruh, like, he really loved me, y'all. He really loved me. Oh my gosh. you know? So, I guess the question that I have for you guys is, are we ready for depth in our relationships? Are we ready for that? Are we ready for that with each other? And depth means that it's not peaches and cream and cakes and cupcakes and, oh my gosh, girl, I love your hair and I love your nails. No. Are we ready for, I can't stand you. I hate you. Get out of my face. I don't want to speak to you anymore. You know what? You get on my nerves. Like, are we ready for those moments with each other where we are just like, ugh, I see your nastiness and I don't know if I want to stay, or if I don't know if I like this. Why can't we just keep laughing, and why can't we just keep being happy, cool, and just chill? Nah. Are you ready for depth with people? Because that, honestly, is real relationship. That's true relationship. And what I'm saying, it takes time. It's not something that happens overnight. And I'll be honest, I'm a type of person, I'm very impatient. So it's like, let's just get this out of the way. I mean, a lot of my people that know me now, they could say I'm very transparent. And it's because I just, look, let me just go ahead and just show you who I am. So we can just get the fun part, the not so fun part out of the way. So you can see what you're dealing with. So you can just see she wasn't lying when she said she's crazy. She wasn't lying when she said she's a lot. She wasn't lying when she said she's a hot mess. She wasn't lying, y'all. She wasn't lying when she said that. You know? Let's just get it over with. But are we ready for that, man? And I think for me, I have to ask myself this question. Nina, are you ready when people aren't ready to be transparent with you? Are you ready for the growing pains? Are you ready for the unknown? Because I think for me, depth for me is the unknown. Because you're not going to get all that you want to get from people. And that sucks. I don't like it. I hate it. But am I ready to accept people and how they choose to unfold themselves to me? And when they choose to unfold themselves to me, am I willing to be patient with them? That's a question for myself, you know. So that's pretty much all I have, you guys. Just thinking and challenging ourselves to, are we ready for depth? So, all right, you guys. Let's see here. I'm trying to figure out who else said what they said. Jot, Jaawt. I don't know what you meant, so you can DM me, if you want to. Because I'm sorry, girl, I got to talking. But yeah. All right, y'all. I love you guys. Hope you guys have a good day. All right. I'm moving. Pray for a player. All right.